Hi, Tim. How are you? How is everything going? Well, we are gonna talk about different topics today, and there are some good and bad news that I want to share with you. I think it's gonna be interesting, and it's important that we start to communicate some of the topics we are gonna talk. So, I would like to start with a sentence that is gonna reflect what is going to be the main theme of the presentation, and that is those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. This means if we don't understand how we came to the situations of the past, we are not gonna understand why we are in the current situation and what could be the future scenarios we could face. And well, why this sentence today is because many of the events and the patterns we see in our society, in the decision making of our politicians, we see that they are leading us to a new potential third world war. And this is very scary, but this is really happening. And some of the news are in the mainstream news, some of them they are not. And what is always the same is that the continental Europe is always main field of battle, and is a battlefield, and currently is focused on the Russian Ukrainian border and regions. But uh, we are in the news these days, we are we have comments from NATO countries that are talking that it is already potential preparation for a war extending to other countries in Europe. And in this environment, in this context, at the Davos Forum, von der Leyen, she announced that it's a priority to continuously supply weapons and to Ukraine. And well, I don't know, but it seems to me that war is a priority, that negotiation is not anymore a priority, that NATO countries seem to be preparing for war. There is no middle term. There is no negotiation for peace. It tends that we go for war in all situations. And it seems to me that our politicians are on their knees. They are not defending freedom and peace, but they are defending war and mm, and their freedom, and that we are free, but not as free as they want. But why they are on their knees is because they don't represent anymore the interest of the citizens, but the interest of external groups, of lobbies, of multinationals, of industrial complex or technological complex, etc. And that's why we need to start questioning all these things. We should not pursue by the things that the mainstream media says, that the politicians says, because they are lying to us in many occasions. They are even believing their own lies, or they are using half truths to bring us to their statements and their decisions, so that we are sharing them. But they are based on lies or based on saying half of the truth, but not the whole picture, not what is the situation as a holistic view, but as a partial view. And this is very, very critical. And in this situation, we need to act. We we should avoid to react, because if we react, we could react when there is already a terrible situation in which potentially we would react when there are already a war in many countries in Europe, not only in the current area, but in more countries. And we should try to act before this situation is arriving. And to act, this means we need to do something, because in many occasions we have been quiet without saying anything. And we are seeing that in Europe, the demonstrations, although this is happening in many mainstream channels, this has not been communicated. Why? Because I think they believe they need the decision making here in the higher level, and the lower levels should follow, and that's it. And if there are some population that is not that is thinking that this is not the proper way to manage the society, okay, they are simply omitting their voices. They are not putting their voices on the mainstream media, and this is what they are doing. So we already have a work in Europe, a war that has been provoked by our politicians and there should be a negotiation, at least some negotiation to bring peace to this situation. But what we see is that our politicians, they are not speaking, they are not communicating, they are not negotiating. They are simply saying, okay, we are continuously going to send forces, to send military equipment, etc. So I don't know if this is on the interest of the people or to whom they are serving by pursuing these decisions and actions. So I believe we are in a current historical moment in history. Europe is in a crucial turning point in its history. Uh, we are in a crisis, and this crisis could break in different scenarios, but the two main extreme scenarios are the following. In one scenario, we could break the chains that kept us dependent, non autonomous, or the other scenario is to be led back into a war in Europe, a war in Europe that is gonna be much more extensive than it is right now, and again provoked by external interest. And we must admit that they have been very clever to manipulate us. They come around always around the corner with a narrative, with an argument, always saying why we should do that or the other. But if we go deep down into the arguments and why they are saying that, we see that they are or lies or half of the truth in order to impose those measures and to manipulate us. So at the end, they are coming up with conclusions like we have to continuously send weapons, we have to spend more money in foreign affairs, but not in in our population. We need to help this company to be unproductive and not to help the small and middle-sized companies. So always with these kind of decisions that in many occasions are not for the good of the people, but instead of that, to destroy the middle class and the common men and the common families. So, and they are selling these measures as if there were no other chance. But we have to say no, this is wrong. They tell half truths or lies to get us on the way they have decided that we have to pursue. And at the end, we shouldn't believe them. They are liars in many occasions. They have no political will to achieve peace. No way. They are not defending the common good. They are not defending the primary sector. They are not defending the secondary sector. They are not fighting for the sustainability in all sense of sustainability with a holistic view, but only the climate sustainability, only the sustainability that supports their interest, their vision of the world, their imposition. So they are also fighting for the localization of supply chains, but without bringing an equilibrium. We are seeing how the disruptions that we are mm, that are happening in the Middle East are influencing the prices, are influencing the services, the supply of goods, and this is something they are pursuing without asking, okay, should be an equilibrium with what should be in our near locations and what could be produced in other parts of the world. No, at the end, they are dismantling our economy, our industry. They are building up dependency. They are destroying our freedom and the properties of the families, of the middle class and small size companies. They are risking our food autonomy. They are searching for more control than ever in history, control of information, control of movement, control of money. At the end, they are pursuing to control everything from a centralized point of view and not letting us, with autonomy, being able to gain uh, freedom, to be free with responsibility, but they are pushing their ideological policies that make life difficult for our families, and they are bringing us endless debts. And there is a reason for that. They work for their lobbies and friendly corrupt networks and not for the European people. For decades and even hundreds of years, they have wanted to bring our ethical values down in Europe. They fought for that again and again. They have destroyed the visions of the law from the Romans. They have neglected the philosophy of the Greeks. They are bringing more and more the Christianizations. They don't want that we have a strong sense of values, that we believe in Christianity, and by bringing down the pillars of our civilizations, they had led us to a critical moment in our history, a critical situation for our societies from an economical point of view, from the point of view of liberty, because they are controlling our movements, our money, our financials, our health. So they could instead try to control our thoughts. And so at the end, in this situation we are now, we have to admit that they have done this very clever. They are intelligent, they have many means, they have all the resources of the world, they have the best minds, and they do that because they have a lot of money. They buy the technologies, they buy the people, they put a lot of money uh, to try to convince people to follow things, sometimes because the people don't have strong values, and sometimes because they convince the people to believe what they want them to believe, to manipulate them. And by doing that, they are conquering the world, they are manipulating us, and they are doing that very well. They have been successful. But since the COVID, in the last 5 years, there are in any event of the world, there are more and more people that are recognizing that this is not the way that is bringing more freedom, that there is a way that they could live better, but there is a way that they are manipulated more and more. So there must be a change, and we should not be afraid of the situation. We should recognize that they want to steal our freedom, they want to destroy our families, they have already destroyed our values in the Western societies, but we have a chance. We have a chance because they want to decide in a central manner, in a forum in a Davos forum or anything like that, and then try to convince us in the lower levels of society by bringing the media, the financial powers, the technological powers, by communicating all the same lies all the time, all the time, until we believe them. And when we believe them in the society, they can introduce the new religions, the new dogmas, the new beliefs, the new measures they have decided in this centralized manner. But there is another way, and that's why we have a chance, because society can push the change bottom up and not top down as they do that. They do top down by deciding at the top and by provoking that our beliefs will be conform what they have decided at the top. But we can start by saying no to this imposition from bottom, and to create a movement that from the bottom is gonna start to ask for other types of solutions, of measures, of analysis that can change the cycle. So we must be optimistic. There are two things that we didn't have in other cases in our history. First is our knowledge, a knowledge that is being possible because there are more and more people that have recognized that they are manipulating us in many cases, in many decisions, and that the narrative they are telling us we have recognized is or a lie or is half of the truth, and that they are using that to bring the measures that are not serving the population but serving other interests. This is the first fact, because in the past it was much more difficult, and that's why the second thing that we have this time is different than in the past. We have the media, not the mainstream media only, but all other channels, the social networks that we have now, the internet, the mobile phones. We have the new technologies, and this helps us to distribute, to communicate the truth, the data, the facts. So everyone is capable of decide in what to believe and in which things not to believe. So um, we should keep going. Our freedom, our communities, and our families are our guiding principles, and we don't have to stay silent. We have to raise our voices against this imposition, and only by sharing the information, by coming together as communities, asking for a change, for a new form of management, a new age of management that is gonna serve the people and not serve other interests, that help the common families to be autonomous with their properties, with their decision making, with all the capabilities to decide and build a critic mindset. There is an opportunity that in this crisis we are facing, that we can overcome it and come out stronger than ever. So keep going and see you